There is a woman who walks alone, not because she cannot find company or because she is afraid, but because she knows that walking alone is how she comes to understand herself and the world around her. This woman does not flee from solitude, rather she embraces it, seeing it as a sacred space where her mind can roam freely without the pressures and performances that society expects. The woman who walks alone does not walk in loneliness. She understands that alone is not a state of lack, but a state of being. She is in harmony with herself, and in this aloneness she finds strength. Alone, she does not wait for approval, nor does she seek to be anything other than what she is. She walks freely, and in her steps you can hear the quiet confidence of someone who has come to terms with both her light and her shadows. In our world, we often shy away from solitude. We distract ourselves with endless activity, fearing what we might find if we sit in silence for too long. We look to others to reflect back our worth, hoping they will give us a sense of who we are. But the woman who walks alone knows that true fulfillment cannot be given, it can only be found within. She has walked the path of introspection, braved the depths of her own mind, and emerged with an unshakable sense of self. You see, the beauty of walking alone is that it is a journey of self-discovery. When you're alone, you cannot escape yourself. You come face to face with your fears, your desires, your doubts. But instead of running from these, the woman who walks alone embraces them. She learns from them. She understands that her fears are not obstacles but teachers, that her desires are not weaknesses but invitations to understand herself more deeply. Her solitude is not an act of defiance but an act of freedom. She has chosen to liberate herself from the expectations of the world. In doing so, she has discovered that solitude is not the absence of connection, but the purest form of it. Alone, she connects with life itself, with the wind and the trees, the sounds of the world around her. She feels part of something greater, because she has stripped away the noise, and in the silence she hears the song of the universe. The woman who walks alone walks with the awareness that life is not about accumulating people, things, or status. It is about understanding deeply who she is. She knows that only when she truly understands herself can she genuinely connect with others without pretense or need. And so she walks. She walks with no destination, no rush, no need to prove anything. Her steps are light, yet her presence is powerful, like a tree deeply rooted in the earth. Her aloneness is her strength, her guide, her teacher. She carries with her the wisdom that everything she needs is already within her. The woman who walks alone reminds us that solitude is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It is the foundation upon which self-understanding is built. And when you know yourself truly and deeply, you can walk through this life unshaken, grounded in the knowledge that you are enough. So perhaps there is something for each of us to learn from her. To take a step back from the endless noise and find our own path, our own sense of freedom. To discover that we too can walk alone, not in loneliness, but in the beautiful, boundless peace of solitude. Solitude is often misunderstood in our society. It is seen as something to be avoided, something that might indicate loneliness or the inability to fit in. But there are those who recognize solitude as a vital part of life, a necessary space where strength is cultivated and self-awareness deepens. Solitude for these people is not an escape from the world, but a journey inward. It is a form of engagement with life that allows them to become stronger, more grounded, and more in tune with who they are. When one is alone, truly alone, they are stripped of the usual distractions. Without the constant chatter of social interaction, there is nothing to mask the thoughts and emotions that arise. This experience can be uncomfortable, because it reveals aspects of ourselves that we may prefer to ignore. But in solitude, there is no escape from the self. And within this quiet confrontation lies a profound opportunity, the chance to face one's fears, to understand one's desires, and to observe one's thoughts with a clarity that is hard to achieve in the presence of others. Through this process, one begins to realize that they are more resilient and capable than they might have believed. In solitude, one learns that strength is not about external validation or the approval of others. Society often measures strength by accomplishments, status, or influence, but these are temporary and can be taken away. True strength is something more enduring. It is found in a grounded sense of self that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. In solitude, a person builds a relationship with themselves, one that is not dependent on how others see them. They come to see that their worth is inherent and does not rely on external achievements or recognition. This realization is powerful because it allows them to stand firm in who they are, regardless of the world around them. Solitude also provides a space for reflection that is difficult to find in a busy social world. When alone, one can examine their own thoughts and actions without the influence of others. This kind of reflection is essential for personal growth because it reveals patterns and habits that might go unnoticed in the midst of daily life. In solitude, there is time to question why we react the way we do, why we hold certain beliefs, and why we pursue certain goals. This questioning leads to a deeper understanding of the self, an understanding that forms the foundation of inner strength. With this knowledge, one can navigate life with greater confidence and clarity, no longer swayed by the opinions or expectations of others. Solitude teaches resilience. It is easy to feel secure and capable when surrounded by others, but solitude tests this sense of security. When alone, there is no one to turn to for reassurance or support. In this space, one must learn to rely on themselves, to find comfort and courage within. This self-reliance is empowering because it reveals that one's inner resources are enough. They do not need to depend on others for stability or happiness, because they have learned to find these things within themselves. This realization strengthens them, not just in solitude, but in all areas of life. It allows them to face challenges with a quiet confidence, knowing that they have the inner resources to handle whatever comes their way. The woman who walks alone embodies this strength. She does not walk alone because she cannot find company, but because she knows that solitude allows her to cultivate a sense of self that is unbreakable. In her aloneness, she finds a connection to life that goes beyond social bonds. She feels the interconnectedness of all things, the quiet pulse of nature, the rhythms of her own mind. She becomes attuned to the subtle aspects of existence that often go unnoticed in the rush of daily life. This attunement gives her a sense of belonging that does not rely on others. She belongs to herself, to the world, to life itself. One also learns the value of being present. Without distractions, there is an opportunity to fully experience the moment, to see things as they are rather than as we wish them to be. This presence is grounding. It brings a sense of peace and stability. It teaches that strength is not about control or power, but about acceptance and awareness. The woman who walks alone understands this. She does not seek to control life, but to flow with it, to find harmony in each moment, even when that moment is challenging. Her strength lies in her ability to remain present, to face whatever arises with grace and resilience. Solitude reveals that strength is not something we acquire from the outside, but something we cultivate within. It is a process of coming to terms with ourselves, of understanding and accepting who we are. The woman who walks alone knows that true strength is quiet, rooted, and unshakable. It is the kind of strength that does not need to prove itself because it is complete in itself. Solitude has taught her this, and imbibed in her solitude she finds a peace that the world cannot give. Embracing aloneness is a journey into the depths of one's own mind and heart. It requires courage and an openness to facing oneself without distractions, external validations, or the comforting sounds of other voices. Yet it is in this space of solitude that we come to know ourselves intimately, and paradoxically, this deep self-knowledge becomes the foundation for authentic connection with others. By embracing our aloneness, we cultivate a kind of inner peace and clarity that cannot be found through the presence or approval of others. In this way, aloneness becomes the pathway to understanding not only who we are, but also how we can connect with others in a way that is genuine, open, and devoid of neediness or pretense. To connect authentically with others, we must first know ourselves. In solitude, stripped of the social expectations and roles that we often take on, we begin to see who we truly are. We learn about our desires, our fears, our strengths, and our insecurities. These realizations can be uncomfortable, and sometimes we may even resist them. Yet it is through this self-reflection that we come to understand the motivations behind our actions and the origins of our responses to the world around us. The solitude provides us with the clarity to see our patterns, both the ones that serve us and the ones that hold us back. We start to uncover parts of ourselves that we may have ignored or suppressed. In doing so, we begin to see ourselves as whole, complex individuals, and we accept ourselves as we are. This self-acceptance becomes the cornerstone of authentic connection. When we no longer seek approval or validation from others to feel complete, we free ourselves from the neediness that can cloud our relationships. We do not approach others with a sense of lack or expectation. Instead, we come from a place of fullness, offering who we are openly and without fear of judgment or rejection. Embracing aloneness has given us the inner strength to stand on our own, which allows us to be genuinely open with others. We can share our thoughts, our feelings, and our vulnerabilities without the anxiety of needing them to affirm our worth. In this openness, others are more likely to feel safe and free to be themselves as well, leading to a deeper, more authentic bond. Furthermore, aloneness cultivates presence, a key element of genuine connection. When we are alone, we have the opportunity to be fully present with ourselves, to listen to our thoughts, observe our emotions, and engage with the present moment. This practice of presence carries over into our interactions with others. We are no longer caught up in our own insecurities or projections because we have faced them in solitude. Instead, we can be fully attentive, listening without distraction, truly engaging with what others are sharing. This ability to be present not only enriches our relationships, but also creates a profound sense of connection, because others can feel that we are genuinely there with them. Aloneness also fosters empathy. In our solitary moments, we encounter our own struggles and vulnerabilities, and through this we gain insight into the experiences of others. By understanding our own emotional landscape, we become more attuned to the feelings and challenges of those around us. We recognize the universal aspects of the human experience, the hopes, fears, and insecurities that we all carry. This empathy enables us to connect with others on a deeper level, as we are able to see beyond surface differences and appreciate the shared humanity that binds us all. The act of embracing aloneness teaches us not only about our inner worlds, but also about the beauty of interdependence. By standing comfortably in our solitude, we come to understand that true connection is a choice rather than a necessity. We no longer approach relationships with a sense of dependency or fear of abandonment. Instead, we value them as meaningful additions to our lives, not as requirements for our happiness or sense of self-worth. This shift allows us to engage in relationships with a sense of freedom, joy, and appreciation. We can give and receive love openly, knowing that we are not seeking completion, but rather sharing the richness of our lives with others. Embracing aloneness thus transforms how we interact with others. It eliminates the need to project a certain image or fulfill specific roles, which often create barriers to true intimacy. When we are comfortable with ourselves, we feel no need to pretend or impress, allowing others to see and connect with our authentic selves. This authenticity creates a space where others feel encouraged to be real as well, paving the way for relationships based on honesty, mutual respect, and understanding. In this space of authenticity, connections flourish and relationships become deeply fulfilling because they are rooted in genuine, unguarded self-expression. Ultimately, the journey of embracing aloneness is a journey toward inner freedom. It liberates us from the pressures of external validation and societal expectations, allowing us to connect with others in a way that is true and sincere. By becoming at ease in solitude, we discover that we have everything we need within us. We approach relationships not as a way to fill a void, but as an opportunity to share the fullness of who we are. This self-sufficiency allows for the creation of connections that are mutually enriching, resilient, and transformative. Embracing aloneness is not about withdrawing from others. It is about finding the grounding that allows us to engage with others from a place of wholeness and genuine connection. Freedom and self-acceptance is one of the most profound kinds of liberation we can experience. To accept oneself fully with all the perceived imperfections, flaws, and unique qualities is to be free from the constraints of needing to be anything other than what we are. This kind of acceptance doesn't mean settling or resigning oneself to unchanging patterns. Rather, it's about looking at oneself without judgment, seeing with clarity who we are, and finding peace in that awareness. It is a journey that allows us to release the weight of expectations, both those imposed by society and those we impose on ourselves. In this freedom, we no longer seek validation or approval to feel whole, and instead we discover a stable sense of self that is resilient, confident, and open to growth. At its core, self-acceptance means embracing the full range of our humanity, the good and the challenging, the strengths and the vulnerabilities. Many of us spend a great deal of energy hiding aspects of ourselves that we believe to be flawed. We may try to appear more competent, confident, or kind, masking the parts of us that feel inadequate or unworthy. But this rejection of our shadow only serves to create internal conflict. When we deny parts of ourselves, we experience tension and fragmentation within, as though we're at war with who we are. By choosing self-acceptance, we release this tension, allowing all parts of ourselves to coexist harmoniously. We come to see that we are not defined by any one part alone, but by the sum of our experiences, thoughts, feelings, and actions. This acceptance brings a profound sense of peace. No longer are we bound by the relentless pressure to prove ourselves to the world. We can let go of the masks we wear and the personas we adopt to fit in or be liked. In this space of self-acceptance, we find relief from the constant need to meet some external standard. We realize that our worth is not contingent on what we accomplish, how we look, or how others perceive us. This understanding liberates us from the burden of needing to achieve or to be perfect in order to feel valued. We see ourselves as worthy just as we are, and this worth is intrinsic, not earned or bestowed by anyone else. This freedom in self-acceptance also changes how we engage with growth and improvement. Often people believe that accepting themselves as they are might lead to complacency or stagnation. But in reality, self-acceptance creates a foundation from which we can grow more authentically. When we are no longer motivated by fear, shame, or the need to fix ourselves, we can pursue growth for its own sake, because we genuinely want to become more aligned with our true nature. This kind of growth is not about reaching a state of perfection. It is about deepening our understanding of ourselves, expanding our potential, and moving closer to the most authentic version of ourselves. Self-acceptance is not the end of self-improvement. Rather, it is the beginning of a journey where we strive to grow from a place of love and curiosity instead of fear and inadequacy. The freedom that comes from self-acceptance also transforms how we interact with others. When we accept ourselves, we become more accepting of others. We are no longer quick to judge or criticize, as we understand that everyone has struggles, insecurities, and unique qualities that make them who they are. Our compassion grows, as does our capacity for empathy. We no longer feel the need to compare ourselves to others or to compete with them, because we are secure in who we are. This inner security allows us to engage in relationships from a place of authenticity and openness, free from the fears and insecurities that might otherwise lead us to act defensively or manipulatively. In accepting ourselves, we invite others to do the same, creating relationships that are built on mutual respect and understanding. Freedom in self-acceptance also means that we can experience life more fully. When we are constantly striving to be someone else or meet a certain standard, we miss out on the richness of the present moment. We become so focused on becoming that we forget the value of simply being. Self-acceptance allows us to let go of the struggle and simply enjoy the experience of being alive with all its ups and downs, its challenges and joys. We come to appreciate ourselves as dynamic, evolving beings capable of growth but also complete in each moment. This perspective helps us to save a life, to engage deeply with our experiences, and to live with a sense of freedom that is not hindered by self-doubt or the need for external validation. Moreover, self-acceptance fosters resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges are inevitable. When we accept ourselves, we become better equipped to face these challenges because we are not trying to be something we're not. We are grounded in who we are with a stable sense of identity that does not waver in the face of hardship or criticism. This resilience allows us to navigate life's difficulties with grace and courage. We do not feel the need to hide from our failures or to shy away from our mistakes, because we understand that these experiences are a natural part of our journey. We can face setbacks and adversity without losing our sense of self-worth, knowing that we are enough regardless of the outcome. Freedom and self-acceptance, then, is a liberation that reaches into every aspect of our lives. It is the foundation of inner peace, authentic growth, meaningful relationships, and a fully engaged life. By accepting ourselves as we are, we find the strength to embrace life with an open heart and a fearless spirit, free from the constraints of self-doubt and societal expectations. In this freedom, we discover that we are not only enough, but that we have always been complete, just as we are.